Alright guys, Tom here and welcome to a new video, and today I'm doing my review of WWE in 2014. I was really looking forward to doing this video. Ever since TLC ended, I've been meaning to do this review of WWE in 2014. This is going to be a pretty long video, but it's going to be one of my best videos of the year because today I'm going to review month by month everything that happened in 2014 within WWE, the good, the bad, the ugly, everything that ever happened this year in 2014 in WWE is going to be reviewed in this video. What I liked about it, what I disliked about it. We're going to make our way through the whole year and you guys are going to sit back and really enjoy this video. So the first thing I can ask for is likes, because this is going to be such a good video. I believe it really does deserve a like. It might be one of my best videos of the year. We're starting in January and making our way all the way through December. It took me ages to plan this, look at everything that happened. It took me hours to look month by month, Raw by Raw by Raw, by pay-per-view by pay-per-view by pay-per-view. I had to look at everything that happened and look at it, plan it all. I've got it all in front of me. Everything that ever happened that I thought was worth mentioning is right in front of me right now. I'm going to mention it all and you guys are really going to enjoy it. So if you appreciate what I've done for this video, please leave a like and share it across Twitter and Facebook. Also, subscribe on my YouTube channel, follow me on Twitter, like me on Facebook, and follow me on Instagram and Google+. There's links in the description for all that, and you can now actually get a Tom Cushnie t-shirt. There's a link in the description for that as well. Anyway, so we kicked off the year in January, of course, of 2014. In January the 6th, 2014 was the first Monday Night Raw of 2014. And in fact, it was a really good Monday Night Raw to remember. It was an old school Raw and we featured legends including Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Too Cool, Rikishi, and at the end you had Jake the Snake Roberts return with the snake and put it on Dean Ambrose. This was a great and a really explosive way to kick off a Monday Night Raw in the year of 2014 in the WWE. An old school Raw for the first episode. I thought that was a really cool idea. Ric Flair, Roddy Piper, Too Cool, Rikishi, and then Jake the Snake Roberts returning right at the end of that Monday Night Raw. We never thought we'd see it. It was absolutely awesome. And then Dean Ambrose had to take the snake on his face, and you could even see him laughing to himself, marking out inside him he was getting the snake on top of him. That was a really cool moment at the end of that Raw. All in all, it was a really good Monday Night Raw and a great idea for the first episode to have an old school Raw. I really enjoyed it on the 6th of January. Also, that was the first time Daniel Bryan joined the Wyatt family. He actually debuted with the Wyatt family on this Monday Night Raw. The first Raw of 2014, weirdly enough, they had Daniel Bryan join the Wyatt family. To me, it never really made sense for them to make him join the Wyatt family, but on the January the 13th episode of Monday Night Raw, there was the infamous steel cage match where Daniel Bryan turned on the Wyatt family after only joining them the week before and having that huge yes chant in the middle of the ring. I think that's one of the greatest moments I've seen as a wrestling fan. Everybody in the arena synchronized yes chanting. The camera pans in, zooms into the middle of the cage, and then Daniel Bryan finishes Bray Wyatt off with the knee. I mean, it was amazing. The yes chant looked incredible. The whole freaking arena was doing the yes chant around the steel cage. It looked great. And I mean, that was one of the best sights we saw all year. And this is really where Daniel Bryan started to pick up all that momentum. He had loads of momentum for a good 2 years, but this was really where you knew it was Daniel Bryan's year and Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania. We'll talk a little bit like that about that later on in this video. But Batista actually returned after 4 years. This was quite a big highlight for WWE. I mean, Batista, a really big superstar, now making millions and millions of dollars in the acting business. But Batista actually returned to the WWE for a good short few months. I think it was around 5 or 6 months in the end. And he actually returned on January the 20th, 2014. And that actually caused a lot of controversy because a lot of people didn't like how they originally booked Batista. So it was great that he'd returned after 4 years, but as soon as Batista returned that same night, we knew where they were heading with this. Everybody wanted Bryan to win the Rumble, but we all knew as soon as Batista returned, we all knew that they were going to shove him down our throats. We knew that they were going to force us to like him as a babyface, force them to like him, and make us they kind of tried to convince us that we wanted to see him in the WrestleMania main event against Orton. That wasn't the match we wanted to see, and that really made a disappointing Royal Rumble for me. I always quite like the Royal Rumble, all those surprise returns. It's really exciting. You never know who's going to win. But this year, it sucked. It was really disappointing because we knew that Batista was going to win. We tried to predict that Daniel Bryan was going to be in there, he was going to win the Rumble, but in our heart of hearts, we knew in the back of our mind that they knew Batista was going to win this before they'd even announced that Batista was returning, and we hated that. We hated that as soon as we saw Batista, we knew where they were going with this. And the good thing about the Rumble is it's so unpredictable, but we knew exactly where they were going to go with this as soon as he returned on January the 20th. So the Rumble was really disappointing. The highlight was Daniel Bryan versus Bray Wyatt. That stole the show. I thought that was amazing. I watched that match all the time. It was great. It was awesome. Kind of annoying Bray Wyatt won there when Daniel Bryan was so hot. He was really over at this point. Wow, he definitely was really over. But he lost there. And we thought Daniel Bryan's lost in the first match of the Rumble. They're doing that to make us think Bryan's out. There's no way he's entering the Rumble. And then we all thought later in the night, we'd surprisingly see Daniel Bryan at number 30, surprisingly come back from his loss against Bray Wyatt in the same night and win the Rumble. Didn't really turn out that way, and it sucked. It sucked so much. Oh my god. The same Rumble, the same pay-per-view. We had Randy Orton versus John Cena 600. We had to sit for another Orton versus Cena match, which was just dog awful. And then Batista robbed the main event of WrestleMania from Daniel Bryan at the end of the show. I mean, when Rey Mysterio came out as number 30, we all booed. Even I was booing at home. It sucked. It sucked. It sucked. Because we knew then that Batista was winning. We already knew. Let's be honest. We already knew Batista was winning. But for Daniel Bryan not to lose in the same night, for him not to be even in the Rumble match, for him not to have win it, it was terrible. Like, it would have been alright maybe if they'd actually put him in the Rumble match. But for him not to even have entered the Rumble match and not to be booked in that match when they knew that we wanted to see him in the Rumble match was really, really annoying. But in the end, it was really clever for them to get us all behind Daniel Bryan. We think of it now that they were taking the piss and we think of it now that he's a small guy. They didn't want him to main event. They didn't want him to be the champion. But really, it was really clever booking. It was just a very clever way for us to get behind Daniel Bryan. They knew that we wanted to see him in the Rumble. And it was just a really good way to get the Authority and Daniel Bryan over and more people invested in the feud. And it was one of my favourite feuds of the year. It wasn't because they didn't want him to be the champion. It was just very good, clever booking and a great feud. And that was really the start of the Daniel Bryan era. Or the Daniel Bryan year. It was the year of the beard, and that was really the main start of it. And the Rumble was a bit of a big disappointment, and that ended with CM Punk leaving the day after, January the 27th, 2014. We'll finish the video off talking about this when it comes to November, but yes, CM Punk did leave the WWE. This was extremely frustrating. CM Punk, one of the biggest stars in the company for the last 10 years, a true main eventer. They lost one of the biggest talents they had, the best talents, one of the biggest sellers of merch. It was a huge blow to the WWE, and it just happened like that. We did not see it coming. One day he was there, the next day he was gone, and it didn't make any sense to anybody. Loads of speculation, so many eyes who weren't in the wrestling business were getting interested in this CM Punk saga and why CM Punk had left. So as a business standpoint, it got a lot of people looking at the WWE and thinking, what is going on there? There's a lot of people talking about CM Punk. What the hell has happened there? And I mean, it was huge. We did not have a clue why he wasn't on the Raw the day after, why he'd left, so much speculation, and they'd lost one of the biggest stars in the company besides John Cena at this point. It was huge. Absolutely huge, and we had no idea what happened, and it was an absolutely massive blow. We move into February, which I thought was a very good year for the company, a very good month for WWE. They broke up the primetime players. I thought they were in a better position before they broke them up than they are now. Neither of them are on TV at this current point. I know Darren Young's injured, but I thought they were a very good tag team, and it didn't make sense why they broke them up. And their pay-per-view match at Elimination Chamber for this breakup sucked. So in the end, it wasn't really worth breaking the primetime players up. There was a great build for the WWE Championship Elimination Chamber match. They had Randy Orton face every competitor in the Chamber match. So on every Raw and SmackDown building up to the Elimination Chamber, they had Randy Orton, who was the champion at the time, face every competitor who was going to be in the chamber with him. And I thought that there was very good. There was 5 very good matches between Randy Orton and the other competitors. It was great build towards the chamber match, and I was really invested in the chamber match. And in fact, it was a very good chamber match. Now, Elimination Chamber 2014 is the last Elimination Chamber pay-per-view before it's renamed to WWE Fastlane. I've already done a video what I think about Fastlane. It sounds awful. It sounds like a Hot Wheels toy. It's awful, but this year was the last Elimination Chamber pay-per-view we will ever get, and it was a great pay-per-view to remember. We had a nice little Big E versus Jack Swagger match. The New Age Outlaws versus the Usos was good. The Wyatt family versus the Shield was one of the best matches of the year. Orton, Daniel Bryan, Cena, Cesaro, Christian, and Sheamus in a chamber match. Wow, that match was fucking awesome. It was really, really good. But once again, Daniel Bryan is screwed. At this point, everybody was really getting behind Bryan. It was incredible how over Bryan was. But I mean, at this point, we'd seen Daniel Bryan get screwed from SummerSlam 2013 to Elimination Chamber 2014. I think every pay-per-view he'd been screwed, except maybe a couple. At this point, we were getting extremely frustrated at the Authority and extremely behind Daniel Bryan and getting amazingly invested in this feud. It was incredible. I mean, oh my god. Now, even more oh my god moments was when the network launched. Yes, this was a huge year for the WWE because the WWE Network, which has been rumoured for around 3 years, finally launched on February the 24th, 2014. You get all 2012 WWE Live pay-per-view events for free and every WWE, WCW, and ECW pay-per-view on demand. It's incredible. I think there's like 100,000 hours of content on demand. It's Netflix, but for wrestling. Oh my freaking god, it's amazing. Oh my god. And it's only $9.99 a month. I mean, what else could you get for that? I mean, it's a really, really good service, and this was huge for growing the brand of WWE. Then, next, Hulk Hogan returned to the WWE. He returned the same night as the network launched to promote it. Who thought you were going to see Hulk Hogan in a WWE ring again? That was incredible. At this current point, thinking about what Hulk Hogan's done in December, I think we're getting a bit tired of it because he's only there to plug charities and plug the network. But when he returned, it was huge. I mean, did you expect to see Hulk Hogan in a WWE ring again? I could not believe my eyes, and I thought it was great. I mean, we saw news of Hulk Hogan was going to be in the WWE, and then the next minute, he was there. It was amazing, and it was really, really good moment to remember. March, the 3rd of March 2014, Chicago Monday Night Raw. WWE brilliantly silenced the WWE chants at the start of the show. Now, do you remember that a lot of people were going to take over Monday Night Raw? There's a hashtag going around, take over Raw, and loads of people in Chicago were going to chant CM Punk all night. Now, WWE brilliantly silenced these chants with a Paul Heyman pipe bomb at the start of the show. This was great. They did a pipe bomb talking about CM Punk. Paul Heyman sat in the middle of the ring to start the Raw off and talked about CM Punk, and this silenced the show. They thought they were going to get CM Punk chants the whole night. That didn't quite happen. Paul Heyman's promo absolutely shuts everybody up. The same night, the Usos won the WWE Tag Team Championships in Chicago. It was a great match and a very good decision to make the Usos the champions. Now, I believe they should have made the Usos the champions at either Elimination Chamber or WrestleMania. At the point, I thought that they should have waited for the Usos to win it at WrestleMania for them to get that big WrestleMania win. It didn't really make sense for them to give them the titles on this Raw instead of maybe just giving them Elimination Chamber where they were facing the New Age Outlaws. I mean, they faced the New Age Outlaws when they won it, so why didn't they just give them the titles at Elimination Chamber? Why did they give them on a random Monday Night Raw? I do not know. They might as well have waited till WrestleMania to give them that big WrestleMania win. Further, right, surely the Usos, they've never won the tag team titles. For them to win it at WrestleMania, it would have been great. So it didn't make sense for them to win it on a Raw. but they decided to do that for some weird reason. Now, WWE actually turned Batista heel due to fans turning on him. Yes, Batista got such a bad reaction. Everybody was sick of them pushing him, like literally shoving him down our throats. They actually turned him heel. They turned Batista heel. Now, this was, in fact, inevitable. As soon as we saw him at the Rumble, it was obvious this guy was never going to get over as a babyface. But we found it hilarious how they had to turn him heel because of such the bad reaction that he got, which was a disappointment. I mean, Batista hadn't been in the company for 4 years. He comes back and he is booed because nobody wants to see him. I mean, that sucked for him. That absolutely sucked. It wasn't his fault. It was just how they booked him and how WWE forced us to like him when we much rather wanted to see Bryan in the main event. And this was the point where WWE began to book Bryan in the main event of that WrestleMania. Finally, we got to see him in the main event of WrestleMania. I believe that was always the plan, that they were going to make Bryan in the main event of WrestleMania. They knew it was Bryan's year. I believe that in the heart of hearts, that they knew that it was Bryan's year. And I thought it was amazing when I saw that they were going to make Bryan in the main event. Well, that's what we all wanted to see. We wanted WrestleMania 30 to end with Bryan winning the world title in the middle of the ring with all the pyro, the fireworks. Oh my god, it had to be. And that's exactly what they did. And that made it the best pay-per-view of 2014. It was probably one of the best WrestleManias of all time. I'm not going to say it was as good as WrestleMania 18 or 17 or anything like that, but it was one of the best WrestleManias ever. It was the 30th anniversary, certainly the best pay-per-view of 2014. Everything on the frickin' show was so bloody good. We had a great Fatal 4-Way Tag Team Elimination match on the kickoff show. Bryan beats Triple H in the opening match of the show to get the crowd really, really behind Bryan. The Shield squashed the New Age Outlaws and Kane. Cesaro wins Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal by doing a Hogan versus Andre lift on Big Show to take him out the ring. Cena versus Bray Wyatt was great. Lesnar ends the streak. I mean, who thought Lesnar was going to end the streak? Everybody thought it was going to be some super young guy, somebody that would really bounce off this. A really young guy who'd get super over. Everybody would hate him. He'd get huge heel heat. But they gave it to Brock Lesnar. There was hardly any build towards this match. It made no sense for anybody to beat the streak at this point. We all thought Undertaker was going to retire with the streak. And then Brock Lesnar. I mean, Brock Lesnar, was he the right guy to do it? I mean, he's hardly there. He's probably made about 4 Raw appearances since winning the world title at SummerSlam. Was he the guy to defeat the streak? Is that fair for Brock Lesnar, who's never really on Monday Night Raw, to defeat the streak? 1, it was quite surprising. It was a huge shock. And 2, he's probably the only legitimate guy that could have ended the streak. I mean, look at him. He's a beast. But in the long run, is this going to benefit anybody? Because there's rumours that Brock Lesnar's not even going to be here. Brock Lesnar's not even going to be around come WrestleMania 31. There's rumours of him actually leaving. So, was it really worth ending the streak for just a short run as Brock Lesnar being the world champion? I don't know. We'll have to see at WrestleMania 31 to see when Brock Lesnar finally puts somebody over. Who's it going to be? And are they going to benefit from the streak being ended by Brock Lesnar? So what I'm saying is, if somebody beats Brock Lesnar, the guy that ended the streak, they're obviously going to get over from that. But the decision here is, who they're going to choose to do that, and is it actually going to benefit them? Was it worth ending the streak to put this guy over? Should they have just put, maybe if Reigns beats Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31, why didn't they just have Reigns beat Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania 30? Why did they give Brock Lesnar the win instead of a younger guy? What was the whole method here? Why did they do it? It still doesn't make sense to me. It's sort of annoying, but it was a huge shock factor. We'll have to see how it plays out. And the Daniel Bryan era, it was a huge payoff. We finally got that huge payoff. We finally saw Daniel Bryan in the middle of the ring celebrating with the world title. That was exactly how everybody wanted to see WrestleMania 30 close the pay-per-view with Daniel Bryan winning the world title. With all the pyro, with all the confetti, we got it. we got it. And thanks to them, we got our WrestleMania moment, and Daniel Bryan got his WrestleMania moment. The whole show was booked towards looking to the future. You had so many young guys winning. You had Bryan, you had Cesaro, The Shield, and you also had the Usos winning. I mean, it was booked to put all the young guys over, and that's exactly how it worked. The Raw after WrestleMania also didn't disappoint either. You had Daniel Bryan open the show to cut a promo thanking the fans, and then Paul Heyman cuts the best promo of the year about the streak. Brock, at this point, was super over. He got booed out the building, and then to top it all off, Paul Heyman cuts the best promo of the year about the streak. I've got goosebumps right now. Go watch that promo right now. It was freaking incredible. Brock didn't need that promo to get over, but once Paul Heyman had cut that promo, he was probably the most over guy in the company for about the last freaking 20 years. I mean, it was the best promo in ages. It was so good. And he had the best material to work with. His client had freaking ended the streak. It was amazing storytelling. RVD returned on this show. Rusev debuted on the Raw after WrestleMania. The Ultimate Warrior returns to Raw to cut a chilling promo and then dies the day after. This was so sad. He returned to Raw and basically foreshadowed his own death in the promo. It was so sad. It was ridiculously sad. Rest in peace, my friend. The Ultimate Warrior died in 2014. It's really extremely sad. That's one of the saddest things that's happened in many, many years in WWE. His chilling promo just topped it all off. It was so weird, surreal. It was so great to see him on your TV, and then the day after he dies. Oh. Wow. It was like he'd foreshadowed his death from his promo. Oh. Rest in peace, my friend. That was a very sad moment for the WWE in 2014. After getting in the Hall of Fame only 2 nights before and appearing on WrestleMania the night before. Very scary. Paige actually debuted on this show. Yes, Paige finally debuted. And she went one better than debuting. She won the Divas title on her debut match and actually carried the division for a few months when AJ Lee was out. Also, on the 14th of April, we saw Evolution return after 10 years. Evolution is a mystery. Yes, Evolution returned after 10 years for a little short stint. That was great. May, Extreme Rules 2014 was an amazing pay-per-view. I think this was maybe the 3rd best pay-per-view of the year. The WLC match took everybody by surprise. Hornswoggle and El Torito almost stole the show. It was so good. We were so surprised how good that match was. I want to see another WLC match. I mean, they went full out for that match. I mean, they had little tables, little stairs, little chairs, little commentators, little referee, a little ring announcer, a little announce table. It was so good, and it was amazing. It was a kickoff show as well. Did you expect to see that? No. Cesaro, RVD, and Jack Swagger had an awesome triple threat match. Bad News Barrett won the IC Championship. That was a great move. He was super over at this point. Sadly, still out due to injury, so have to drop it. But at that point, that was a great choice to put him the IC title on Wade Barrett. Bray Wyatt versus Cena in the steel cage match was a great way to put over Bray Wyatt. The match itself was a bit of a big disappointment. Their Mania match was a lot better. And the Shield versus Evolution was so good. Kane versus Daniel Bryan was so good as well. And then it ended with a flaming table. Oh my god, these 2 matches were great. Shield and Evolution and Kane and Daniel Bryan, they all stole the show. It was freaking awesome. And then we also had a rumoured Buried Alive match at the Payback pay-per-view where Daniel Bryan would face Kane in a Buried Alive match, but sadly that actually never happened. I just put that in my scripts because there were rumours at the time we were going to get a Buried Alive match, but sadly Bryan got injured at this point and actually is still not back. Yep, that's right, Bryan is still not back, and that was a huge blow. I said at the start of this show that it was Daniel Bryan's year. It was Daniel Bryan's WrestleMania. It was the Beard's year. And sadly he got injured not even halfway through the year, and he's still not back. They lost CM Punk, and then they lost their biggest star at that current time, Daniel Bryan, and he had to drop the title. Huge blow. Alicia Fox turned heel. Yes, she had a couple of matches against Paige for the Divas Championship. Alicia Fox was doing great, and then sadly, when she lost the Divas Championship match, it all disappeared. I mean, she had this great gimmick. She was running around Monday Night Raw with popcorn. She put Jerry Lawler's hat on. And then a month later, she lost, and then it was all gone. They had a great character going. She had amazing heat, and then it was just gone. They should have kept that character going. It was great. Payback 2014 was a great pay-per-view. So at this point, they had 3 good pay-per-views in a row. Awesome. Actually, 4, if you consider Elimination Chamber. The Shield versus Evolution stole the show. Again, Cena versus Wyatt was probably the best match of the year in my opinion. Amazing. I watched that match all the time as well. And then the Usos faced the Wyatt family in an amazing match. And they should have dropped the belts. The Wyatt family was super over at this point. But the Usos retained the belts. I think at this point we were getting a bit sick of the Usos being the champions. They should have dropped the belts. Honestly, they really should. We were getting a bit bored of seeing the Usos do their same thing every match. The Wyatt family were over. They were the younger guys. We wanted to see them win. And the Usos sadly retained. They got a little bit booed that night as well, as if I can remember. And then June the 2nd, 2014, Seth Rollins turns on the Shield and becomes the #1 heel of the company to close out the year. You could talk about Brock Lesnar being the #1 heel, but the guy that's been on show after show after show being the #1 heel was certainly Seth Rollins. And he did a tremendous job of being a heel to end this year. From all the way to June to all the way up until December, he's been one of the most over guys in the company. His promo work has significantly improved. In the end, I do think it was the best idea for Seth Rollins to turn heel. I believe he's got the best heel look. If you look at Ambrose and look at Reigns and Seth Rollins, I believe Rollins looks like the heel out of the 3. His promo work has significantly improved. I think him joining Evolution or the Authority at the time was a great move. He's really, really improved overall as a wrestler and as a character and as a gimmick. He's doing tremendously well. I think that Reigns, they didn't turn Reigns heel, obviously, because they want to see him as the next Cena. And obviously, I don't think Ambrose should have turned heel. I think he was extremely over as a babyface at that time anyway. So Rollins as the heel was a great decision, and I wouldn't have changed it any other way. Rollins was also seen as that guy who was kind of the glue and kept the Shield stuck together for longer than it should have probably gone. So it was a bit of a swerve for Seth Rollins to be the guy that turned on the Shield. Great moment. I'm sure you guys have all watched highlights of Seth Rollins turning on the Shield many, many times. A lot of people were extremely pissed off, but it was a great business move. A lot of eyes went on to WWE at that point. It was huge. It was a huge turning stone in the year of 2014, if you think about it. June the 9th, 2014, the WWE Championship was vacated from Daniel Bryan. Yes, this was when it was confirmed Daniel Bryan was injured and is not back. He's still not back, which is I think that's amazing. How he's still not back, but I could still consider 2014 the Daniel Bryan year. BNB injured. Yes, Bad News Barrett alongside Bryan was injured in June 2014. 2 big injuries. 2 championships had to be vacated. That was really annoying. And BNB was actually dubbed to be the winner of the Money in the Bank match until he got injured 6 days before. So that was extremely frustrating. June the 9th, 2014 was the night of Money in the Bank 2014 and another awesome pay-per-view. 2 great Money in the Bank matches. Seth Rollins becomes Mr. Money in the Bank and is still Mr. Money in the Bank. We're very highly anticipating that cash-in. It's going to be great when it happens, and I think that Money in the Bank was the great decision to put it on Seth Rollins. Told a great story, made a hell of a lot of sense. They've used it extremely well. He looks like a freaking badass with that gold briefcase. Great choice to have Rollins become that Mr. Money in the Bank. And then, the same show, Cena becomes the 12-time WWE Champion in his hometown. Ugh. Yep, that's right. You couldn't have a year without Cena becoming the champion at least once. Yeah, that's right, this was the start of a John Cena title reign. I disagree with that. I didn't really like it, obviously. 12 times as WWE Champion, it's a bit much, mate. It's a bit much. Chris Jericho and The Miz returned to WWE on Raw June 30th, 2014. Chris Jericho's return was a bit of a big disappointment. He didn't do a lot in grand scheme of things. And The Miz's return at this current point, he's doing very, very well. He returned as that movie star gimmick and is still very, very super over with the help of Damien Mizdow. July, WWE Battleground 2014 was a disappointing show. I believe this was the first disappointing show we've had in the year since the Royal Rumble. We had a fun fatal 4-way WWE Championship match which did deliver. Dean Ambrose versus Seth Rollins never happened though. They booked it, they built it, but it never happened. And then the Usos should have dropped the belts to the Wyatt family again. Yep, that's right, they didn't drop the belts again to the Wyatt family, which is extremely disappointing. They were super over, the Wyatt family were ridiculously over, but once again, they didn't drop the belts. The Usos were still the champions. This is the 6th month they were champions. That is a bit too much. Chris Jericho versus Bray Wyatt was a big letdown as well. Yes, Chris Jericho's return match on a pay-per-view was a bit of a big letdown. And surprisingly, Chris Jericho won that match. They didn't put Bray Wyatt over. So Bray Wyatt had been completely buried by John Cena. We all thought Chris Jericho was back to put over Bray Wyatt and make him and give some momentum back to Bray Wyatt, but Chris Jericho won. 21st of July 2014, Brock Lesnar returns to the WWE to face John Cena at SummerSlam. This was the match everybody was rumoured to see, and we actually got to see it, which was amazing. August, the second best pay-per-view of the year, without a doubt. Brock Lesnar squashes John Cena in one of the most memorable matches ever. Yep, that's right, you cannot doubt me that was one of the most memorable matches ever. Did you expect to see Brock Lesnar squash John Cena with 16 German suplexes, 2 F5s in the middle of the ring? No. It was clean. It was absolutely clean. It was as clean as you can get. It was something that we've never seen before. SummerSlam also had 2 other title changes. Yep, that's right, we got 3 title changes at this year's SummerSlam. Nikki Bella also turned on her sister. Big shock, which actually didn't turn out to be that fun in the end. Roman Reigns defeated Randy Orton. Seth Rollins versus Ambrose in a lumberjack match was amazing. That was one of the greatest matches. Sadly, it was a lumberjack match. I don't think everybody wanted to see a lumberjack match. When I think of great stipulations, I don't think of a lumberjack match. Finally, Bray Wyatt versus Jericho delivered. Ziggler became an IC champion, not for the last time of the year. And AJ Lee and Paige finally, yeah, that's right, finally had a great match. Yes, this was at the time AJ Lee and Paige's championships were swapping. They couldn't decide if they wanted AJ as the champion or Paige as the champion. That pretty much sums up the Divas division at that point. It was so slim that they couldn't have the championship. They didn't want AJ Lee to retain, because then that would mean that the AJ and Paige feud would be over. So they had to have AJ Lee and Paige beat each other every time they had a match to keep the feud going. And finally, this was probably the first time they actually had a great match. I mean, when Paige debuted, everybody wanted to see AJ Lee against Paige. It was dubbed as potentially one of the best matches ever. And it took them ages to have a very good match. August the 18th, 2014, the night after SummerSlam, they debuted the new WWE Championship belt with the WWE logo, and they finally get rid of the WCW World title. Yes, they added the new WWE logo to the WWE Championship belt. They only have one belt now. I think it's stupid how they call it the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. It's such a mouthful. Why don't they just go back to calling it the WWE Championship? But that was the night they debuted the new belt. It looks great, by the way. September, just before the Night of Champions pay-per-view, Roman Reigns is injured. Yeah, that's right, Roman Reigns got injured. He's the next John Cena. He was super over right now. They just booked him at SummerSlam to beat Randy Orton, and a few weeks later he gets injured. So that's maybe like the third big star that was over at the time getting injured. CM Punk had also left, so at this point they'd lost 4 big superstars. Big superstars. These aren't just like mid-carders, big superstars. Night of Champions 2014 sucked. WWE booked John Cena to look strong and Lesnar to look weak in that Night of Champions match, if you can remember, which made no sense, and it killed Brock's momentum. In their second WWE Championship match, John Cena hit like 4 AAs and Lesnar looked extremely weak, which made no sense. Why did they book Brock Lesnar to look so strong in the SummerSlam match, and then the month after make him look ridiculously weak against John Cena? Why did they waste their time making Brock end the streak, make Brock almost kill John Cena, and then have Lesnar look very, very weak the pay-per-view after against John Cena. Why was that productive? It made no sense and killed Brock's momentum completely. Jericho finally had a good match since his return against Orton. Yes, I don't think Jericho's return to the WWE this year was that great, and his only good match was against Randy Orton at the Night of Champions pay-per-view. Gold and Stardust finally beat the Usos for the titles. Yes, Gold and Stardust were a new gimmick. It was crazy to have Stardust, once formerly known as Cody Rhodes, as Stardust, and they actually became the new tag team champions, which was a bit of a big disappointment. I thought that they ended that run way too short. Yeah, they ended Golden Stardust's run very, very short in its reign, and the Usos finally dropped the belts. Yay! It took them 7 months for them to drop the belts, which was absolutely ridiculous. I don't understand why they kept the belts on them for that long. And we actually got another AJ Lee versus Paige match, which was another good match, by the way. And then we had to end the year with no WWE champion ... This is because Brock Lesnar pretty much ended he ended his year here. I mean, he made a couple of appearances in December, but apart from that, we had to end the year with no WWE champion. So WWE had to book 3 pay-per-views without WWE world champion on the pay-per-view. Very hard task to do, but that was their decision to do. Now, WWE delayed the UK release of the network to November at the start of October. They said that the network would come to the UK in October, but then delayed it until November. WWE 2K15 on Next Gen was actually delayed until November the 18th. Hell in a Cell was great. Bray Wyatt returned for a program with Ambrose. That was at the end of the show, but that was during the Ambrose versus Rollins match, which was amazing. Golden Stardust versus the Usos was a good match. Ziggler versus Cesaro was great. That was a 2 out of 3 falls match. Cena versus Orton in a Hell in a Cell match was incredible. Paige versus AJ Lee again was okay. And then Nikki Bella and Brie Bella surprisingly had a pretty good match. But the star thing about this Hell in a Cell match was the return of Bray Wyatt. Now, November rolled in. WWE delayed the UK release of the network until further notice. Ugh. Really frustrating. They said it was going to be in November the 1st, and then when it came to November the 1st, half an hour before it was going to be released, they said, we're delaying it until further notice, and we still haven't had a reply on that. And that was just before they went on their European tour, where they would make most of the dates in the UK. So they had to go to the UK a few weeks later after delaying the UK release of the network and try and put on a few good shows, knowing that we still didn't have the network. So Survivor Series 2014 was a crap show. People, like you guys probably watching it, probably said it was amazing, but honestly, apart from the main event and the Sting debut, it sucked. It was not good at all, and I thought it got overshadowed by Sting's return. I mean, this was not a good pay-per-view. Now, Sting's debut in the WWE to help the Authority lose power was epic. It was an epic moment, and was about time the Authority was dethroned. I mean, this was the point where people were getting bored of the Authority, so for them to have them lose the match was great. I thought it was about time that they shook things up in the WWE and had a bit of a change. I mean, the Authority had ran pretty much the whole year. Well, since SummerSlam 2013, but this whole year has been all about the Authority running things with Rollins, Evolution, Batista coming back. It was all about the Authority. And I thought it was about time that the Authority lost here, so I was quite glad that they did. Sting's debut was amazing. I mean, did you ever think Sting was actually going to be in the WWE this time last year? No. For him to debut on a pay-per-view only a few months ago, incredible. It was so good. Amazing. Ziggler was booked super strong at the end of this and became super over to end the year of 2014. Yeah, that's right. Sting did help Ziggler win here, but that booking from the WWE made Ziggler super over. But the annoying thing is, WWE still hasn't asked Sting why he interrupted in this match. Why Sting helped the Authority lose and Team Cena win, we still don't know. It doesn't make sense, but I guess in wrestling, we just have to forget about that. Ambrose versus Wyatt at the Survivor Series pay-per-view was great. And then WWE 2K15 on the Next Gen was well worth the wait. The graphics are amazing. My Career is amazing. What's it called? What's that one? I've forgotten the game mode. The 2K Showcase mode is great as well. Basically, 2K15 on Next Gen looks amazing. And then, a week after the Survivor Series, CM Punk speaks out. Yeah, that's right. CM Punk finally spoke out after 11 months from leaving the WWE on the what's he called? The Colt Cabana podcast. CM Punk speaks out. Yeah, that's right. In 2 hours of podcast worthy, he spoke out about leaving the WWE. It was incredible. It was huge. Everybody had to get on that and listen to it. He talked absolute shit about the WWE, about Ryback, about how many injuries he suffered, about how he didn't get correctly paid. Everything. About how they fired him on his wedding day with AJ Lee. About the CM Punk chant, about everything, about Mr. McMahon's apology to him, everything like that. You need to go take it a listen. This was one of the biggest things which happened in the WWE and brought so many eyes to the company. It was huge. It was absolutely amazing how he did it. I mean, it worked so well, but it was just an incredible story. You've got to go take a listen. December rolled in, the Slammy Awards were an absolute embarrassment. Brock Lesnar should have had Superstar of the Year. What the fuck was Roman Reigns doing winning Superstar of the Year? He had one singles match pay-per-view win the whole year. He's been injured for half the year. I mean, I don't understand. Rollins, right, basically, Roman Reigns was in the Shield for most of the year. But Rollins has had way more pay-per-view wins. Rollins has won the Money in the Bank. He's been main eventing most Monday Night Raws. But for some reason they said Reigns won Superstar of the Year. I believe it was rigged because I thought that was absolutely ridiculous. I either believe Rollins or Brock Lesnar should have won Superstar of the Year. Brock, he squashed Big Show at the Rumble. He beat The Undertaker's streak at WrestleMania, and then squashed John Cena at SummerSlam. Surely Brock or Rollins should have won Superstar of the Year. Reigns had one pay-per-view match, one singles pay-per-view match the whole year. He's been injured for the rest, and the other pay-per-view matches he was in, he was alongside The Shield. So surely Ambrose or Rollins were equally as good to win this award as much as Reigns was. It just didn't make sense. And the match of the year was given to Team Cena versus Team Authority, which was an average 6-man tag match, topped off with a Sting debut. That doesn't make it an epic, amazing match of the year match. That just makes it a good match. It wasn't even a good match. It was average. Match of the year was Cena versus Wyatt at Payback 2014. I thought that was fucking amazing. But they gave it to Team Cena versus Team Authority. Does that just mean wrestling fans' memory is so poor that they could only remember November? Oh my god. It wasn't even a good match. I mean, okay, Sting debuting is cool, but that's not really part of the match, is it? That was just like a segment within the match. It doesn't make the match amazing. It wasn't an amazing match. It wasn't amazing. It wasn't even that good. Anyway, TLC 2014 was disappointing. Cena versus Rollins was incredible. Yeah, that was amazing. That was probably one of the only highlights alongside Ziggler versus Harper in a ladder match. Apart from that, WWE booked the rest of the matches poorly and nobody cared about the outcomes. What I'm saying about this is, yes, they can make a match against Ryback and Kane in a chairs match. They can make Eric Rowan against Big Show in a stairs match. It's great that they're adding stipulations into these matches, but if we don't care about the feud or the people in it, we're really not going to get invested in the match, and we're not going to care about who wins. So they can add all these stipulations, but we're not going to care at the end of the day, because you haven't really booked them that well. So that's how WWE closed the year with a very disappointing pay-per-view of TLC 2014. Overall, I'm going to give this year's WWE a thumbs up. Do I have to give it a rating out of 10? I think that's quite difficult because it's been a mix of views. There's been great and there's also been absolutely dog awful. So I'm going to give it a 8 out of 10. Slightly generous, but I feel like it's been a big year for the WWE. Daniel Bryan getting that huge payoff at WrestleMania 30. The WWE Network. Batista returning. That was big. Hulk Hogan returning. Sting debuting. Brock Lesnar returning to win the WWE Championship and squashing John Cena. Rollins turning on the Shield. Epic. Let's have a look. CM Punk leaving the company. That sucked. Roman Reigns, Daniel Bryan, bad news. Barrett getting injured. That sucked. The Usos being the champions for way too long. That sucked. Chris Jericho's return was a disappointment. The Ultimate Warrior dying. That sucked. Let's have a look. Cena squashing Bray Wyatt. That sucked. He absolutely buried him. Yeah, I thought we had some good pay-per-views. We had a good Elimination Chamber, a good WrestleMania, a good Extreme Rules. We had a good Payback. We had a good SummerSlam. We had a good Hell in a Cell. Overall, we had some very good pay-per-views, and the network helps that because we can all watch that live for $9.99 a month. And that's awesome because that was released this year. So thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully you have in fact enjoyed this video. Take care. Spike your hair.